Ladies and gentlemen, from the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace and Justice, Deacon Gerald Celente.
Hello, this is Deacon Celente of the Universal Church of Freedom, Peace and Justice. We are at the most critical times of our life. World War III has definitely begun. All the facts are there. Just some headlines. U.S. announces plans to flood Europe with troops and weapons. And President Biden said that he would add another 20,000 troops to Europe, bringing the total deployment to 100,000. Why? He said because NATO is ready to meet threats from all directions, across every domain, land, air, and sea. They're saying right out in front, war is there. Land, air, and sea. America will be there to fight. The America, since World War II, with the Korean War, with the Vietnam War, with the Iraq War, with the Afghan War, with the Libyan War, with the Syrian War, with supporting the Yemen War, and other wars. And then in Germany, the leaders of World War I and World War II, not ancient history, their Chancellor Scholz said that Germany would continue to arm Ukraine, quote, intensively, arm them for as long as it is necessary to enable Ukraine to defend itself. And then he warns that if NATO doesn't step in, Russia will do the destruction that they caused in World War II. But he didn't say World War II that they've rained on Europe. It was Germany that destroyed Europe in World War II. It was Germany, Mr. Schultz, that killed an estimated 27 million Russians in World War II with Operation Barbarossa. The Washington Post came out and said Ukraine's steadfast resistance and the West's firm stance means, quote, success will follow. One after another, they're pumping up war. Russia cannot and should not win. That was from the boy playing the president of France, Macron. Biden says, Americans, you're going to have to endure high gas prices as long as it takes, so Russia cannot, in fact, defeat Ukraine. Here he goes. You have to pay the price. Yep. You have this guy over there, over in the United Kingdom, a general by the name of Patrick Sanders. And this week he said that Britain faced a 1937 moment. That was the beginning of World War II. So he said for us today that something else is mobilizing the army to meet the new threat we face, a clear and present danger that was realized on 24 February when Russia used force to seize territory from Ukraine. You ready? A friend of the United Kingdom. So all the people in the United Kingdom should know that Ukraine, one of the most corrupt countries, according to the research study, in the world, is your friend. And a friend in need is a friend indeed, according to the general. He goes on to say, quote, "In all my years in uniform, I haven't known such a clear threat to the principles of sovereignty and democracy and freedom to live without fear of violence and brutal aggression of President Putin and his expansionist ambitions." This is the same general that commanded operations in Northern Ireland, the Kosovo War, Kosovo, Bosnia. This is the general that was in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Talking about democracy? What are you doing from the United Kingdom going into Afghanistan, Iraq? That's not your next door neighbor, no threat to you. Bosnia, Kosovo. Look at the murders that you've committed. And you're talking about Russia? When well over 1 million people have been killed in those wars? This is a sick man, and I'm mentioning this because this is the sickness that will prevail as World War III escalates and we all suffer from it. He said the British Army must be prepared in warfare. This is to defeat Russia at its most violent. At its most violent. And they quote this man that should be in a mental institution as a Sir General that we all should look up to. Our willingness, he said, quote, to shed blood to protect our common values and each other's territory that will see us prevail. This is not my territory. This is not the territory of the people of the United Kingdom. This is a territory dispute between Russia and Ukraine that's been going on for essentially 1,000 years. And to say people should be, quote, most violent and that they should have a, quote, willingness to shed blood, end quote. This is evilness. This is demonic. This is satanic. This is the mainstream media. Rather than condemning this man, and don't talk about peace, because that's not permitted. And remember, we're having our Peace and Freedom Rally on July 23rd, 2 p.m. on the Four Corners of Freedom, John and Crown Street, Kingston, New York. Judge Napolitano, myself, Scott Ritter, Gary Null, the Hot Damn Band, vendors. Of course, it's free to come. It's more than about free, it's about freedom. And if you don't come and you don't support it, you're doing nothing. Simple as that. World War III has begun. I just read you a quote from a very sick person. Speaking of which, we are watching Russia wither before our eyes, said former U.S. Defense Chief. This is James Mattis, He was speaking from Seoul, the Seoul Forum on Friday. We have a saying in America. We say that nations with allies thrive, nations without allies wither. And we're watching Russia wither before our eyes right now. What saying are you talking about withering? This country is going down big time. As already $57 billion has been sent to Ukraine. What do you mean, wither? People are living paycheck to paycheck. Inflation's wiping them out. And thanks to the sanctions, it's made it worse. When asked what military lessons can be taken from the war so far, this former Marine general said, quote, "One is don't have incompetent generals in charge of your operations." From the man that was a general from every one of America's losing wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And they quote him, a loser, a general loser. He called Russia's military performance pathetic. How about America's military performance? And he called it immoral, incompetent, and operationally stupid and strategically foolish effort. As the Iraq and Afghan, and they quote this person and bow down to him. He became the Secretary of Defense under Donald Trump. And he earned the name, quote, Mad Dog, for his allegedly murderous reign in the Battle of Fallujah, Iraq, when he ordered Marines to fire on ambulances and giving the green light for soldiers to shoot women wearing headscarves. It was reported that he even had Marines pose for trophy photos with the scores of innocent victims they killed. As he was exiting Iraq, Mattis was memorial quoted as saying, quote, "It's quite fun to shoot them, you know. It's a hell of a hoot. It's fun to shoot some people." This is the Mad Dog Mattis back in 2012 when he famously claimed the United States has three threats: Iran, Iran, and Iran. These are the people that are leading us to death and destruction around the world. Peace is a dirty word. Go to hell, said Ukraine's Andrei Melnik, their ambassador to Germany, in response to a group of German intellectuals who wrote an open letter, and it was published in a big newspaper, Die Zeit, on Wednesday, entitled "Cease Fire Now." Knowing that Russia is destroying the place, they have 20% of the country. These academics, philosophers, journalists, artists, and ex-diplomats urge the West to end the Ukraine war through negotiations. But Kiev's ambassador to Berlin, Andrei Melnik, tweeted, "Not again. What a bunch of pseudo-intellectual losers. And they should go to hell with their defeatist advice." These are the people that are being looked up to, while those who want peace are demonized. The Universal Church of Freedom, Peace, and Justice and Occupy Peace sent out a press release last week, or this week, Went over to 1,100 news organizations, locally and nationally, about our July 23rd rally for peace and freedom. Not one response, no coverage. We must make this happen. They want war. The more war they have, the more people tune into media, just like the COVID war, and the more that they sell. It's up to us to make it happen. United we stand, divided we die. And the Ukrainians are ready to die. An overwhelming share of Ukrainians, this is from the Wall Street Journal on Thursday, say some 89%, nearly 90%, say it would be unacceptable to reach a peace deal with Moscow by ceding Ukrainian territory. They've already ceded. It's ceded with death. They don't want peace. I'm heartbroken. I see the future. If we don't unite for peace, we're finished. It's over. I read you the quotes from these crazy people, one after another. We could beat them if we're warriors for the Prince of Peace, or whatever God you believe in that believes in peace. And if you don't believe what they say. And do as they say. Or do what you can to bring peace on earth back to earth. They've destroyed the world with the COVID war. They're blaming the recession. They use the word the pandemic did it. No, the pandemic didn't do it. The dictators did it. And these same dictators have taken us to World War III. And just as the people obediently followed them in the COVID war, did everything that they were told, they will follow them into World War III, the last war on earth. Again, when they asked Albert Einstein what weapons would be used to fight World War III, he said, I don't know. But they'll be using sticks and stones to fight the fourth. World War III has begun. No talks of peace. One after another. Yep. Expanding NATO squares up to Russia as Putin slams imperialist allies. The NATO country leaders wish to assert their supremacy, their imperial ambitions. And in response, that was in response to NATO's chief Stoltenberg, who said, Ukraine could count on us for as long as it takes. All the facts are here. War is here. They don't want peace. The West violated the key of NATO's Russia treaty. And this is from Russia's foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov. In a legal sense, the founding act continues to exist. We have not initiated the procedure for terminating this agreement. Neither Russia nor NATO, is the 1997 Founding Act. And that Founding Act, the key element of it was that the alliances would not move past the new unified Germany. The 1997 Founding Act. And now, NATO's on the border. From 40,000 troops, it's now up to going up to 300,000 troops. So again, do what you can to support peace and freedom. And remember our Peace and Freedom Rally. That's right. Coming up soon, July 23rd, in Kingston, New York, on the Four Corners of Freedom, John and Crown Street, the only place with pre-Revolutionary War stone buildings where the seeds of democracy was sown. And if we don't unite for peace, we are going to be annihilated in war. Thank you.